I just had a conversation where I was talking to someone about the Volume 2 Healings book. And he had a shipping question, so I was just redirecting him on where to contact the people about shipping or whatever. And I just, I wanted to talk to you guys about, like, how special this book is to me and, like, all the things why. Okay, so my first one over there is, volume 1, and that is like screenshots and stuff of all my healing. So it's pretty special too. But okay, back to volume 2. So I wanted, that first book looked a little bit like an album cover, like a record album cover, and the artwork on it is like profile pictures from my like Facebook, which is interesting. Okay, this one. This is Houndstooth is one of my favorite patterns, and I wanted this to look like a photo album or like a scrapbook, like really important. And then like I am punk rock. I like combat boots, spikes, and chains. When I was younger, that's what I wore. I really did outfits and stuff. So safety pins are huge to me, and I wanted it to look like leather patches and patches on the fabric. And I really wanted it to feel like it was fabric, because as an energy feeler, I like to feel into things and feel the texture and stuff behind it. And then these little buttons, that's what she said. You guys know me for that. Talk nerdy to me. The clocks, an astronaut surfing for space's ocean, the like atomic heart with the eye and stuff is very like the tree, like the heart center. I do a lot of things from heart center, and the eye is very important to me. Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein have been my bitches since I discovered them. Like, I love these motherfuckers, besides the fact that I do like electricity stuff, and then finding the pieces of me scattered throughout space and time, and then breaking free, and then there's so much in there. And then of course keys have always been really big for me as well. Okay, going on with the back of it, the octopus, boombox, melting clock, Thor's hammer. Mouths are fucking sexy to me. They're like another orifice in like a hole inside your body that has like a pink, fleshy, wet like thing that comes out of it. Like, mouths are sexy, guys. The death card in like tarot is huge for me. My nighttime trauma healing train. Robots, I love robots like so much. Astronaut on a dinosaur, because I love T-Rex and like the concept of all of this. Cassette tapes are big for me. The deep sea diver is a huge thing for me. One of the first lives I ever saw, I was stuck, and my leg was stuck, and I was eaten by a shark. But I wasn't afraid of sharks. My ex-husband was afraid of sharks, because in that life he watched me get eaten. The old school tattoo, the Banksy kind of pen, the Archangel Michael. Look around and find out, but with the smiling things. This one actually kind of reminds me a little bit of Kate. The dice are really big for me, and then again, I wanted it to look like leather and stitching. The slogan, like when you first open the book, where humans are so much more than we've been told, remember, that's on my website, that's on all of my things, that's on a lot of my videos now. And this drawing back here, even though I like made it a negative, like what I did with this book is I took actual drawings, and then I did computer art to my actual drawings. And this is my maiden name. I was Catherine Martin, and I drew this in 2001. Not this part, I added that. And then this next page and stuff, like this was a self-portrait I drew of myself, probably around the same time, like 2001 or so. And then I did some artwork on top of it, but that was self-portrait. This was an octopus I drew on a Post-it note at work. Some artwork from 2002. And then I added this stuff on top of it with the different QR codes and things. This was artwork back from 2000 as well. Like sheets or mountains or pieces of ribbon. Oh, I wanted to add, I am big on hands with my healing, so I wanted to add hands in there too, like different types of hands. So that was a big thing for me as well. This is artwork I drew back when was this? Like in the early 2000s. This used to, like, this was like my ex-husband, and this is me. But like, I like that artwork in general. I drew this around that same time too, back then. This was, so when I worked at a pension office, like a medical, well, it was a pension office for firefighters and police officers. There were these weird medical records, and they had all these different medical things. And I would take the medical records pictures and like cut them out, and then I would decorate the wall by my desk. And I did this. It was like a mouth for dental records, and I drew like the things on it, and I was like, "You're not my real dad." Like, just, yeah. Anyway, this was a picture that I found. It was just a black and white picture that I found at, I think, at like Big Lots or something. And I drew these stick figures, like doing cartwheels, and the olives I'd changed to like bloody or whatever. So this was on like canvas. Again, this was like medical record thing, so I would cut out the different parts of the medical records and I'd put it together. And this was just hanging on my wall in my little office cubicle space or whatever. And then a bunch of eyes. I actually drew this for the book. Like I drew a bunch of eyes on a piece of paper, and then I like changed the color and tone of it on an app. Same thing here. I drew this one for the book specifically. Drew this one for the book. This was a sketch or doodle thing that I had back from like 2015 or 16. And it was like during the whole like twin flame bullshit stuff. Like I was involved in that kind of crap. But it was also in, when I first started taking sessions, my theme was like trees, and it was part of that. This one was hanging in my office as well, but I actually made one of these like really, really large when I was working at Pier 1, and I had cut out pieces of like I made a tree, and it was when people had appreciation for other employees or managers, they would write it on the leaves or whatever, and I had a smaller version of it hanging in my office at the pension office because I liked the look of it. This was medical stuff that was found in one of those medical folders, but it reminds me of robots, like if robots had skeletons. I drew these a long time ago, so 2002, in my sketchbook, and so that's where that came. I did this one for the book, but its original art is like a whole fucking sheet of paper, and it's like written in like yellow and stuff. I had to change the colors of it. Really interesting process sometimes. Drew this one for the book. I love drawing stick figures this way. It's like one of my favorite things. Drew the zeros and ones for the coding for the book. I drew this one for the book, but I used to draw this like all the time. Like the smile with the braces. I used to draw this constantly, but I drew that one for the book. This is how I draw kitty cats. That's how I draw them. So I drew one for the book, but I've drawn that like my whole life. This was just sketch art that was sitting around that I had. Drew that one for the book. This is art back from probably early 2000s as well, with the piercing, and it's hard to see, but it was like silver, like liquid coming down into the black flames. Drew that one for the book, but I love cassettes. This was me and Ben playing tic-tac-toe, and I asked him if we could do it in different colors, and I was like, I want to put it in the book. So that's that. I drew this one for the book and added the letters and stuff with the like computer with the app thing. And I love the way that one ended up. Drew that one for the book. Drew that one for the book. This one's interesting. I drew it for the book, but it looks a lot like a snake, but it's orange peel. This was something I already had drawn. It was to explain to somebody about like the dimensions. Like this is where 3D is, and this is 24th dimension. This is negative 24th dimension, and our souls like go like this. Like they're condensed up here, but then they go like bigger here to the billions of people. Drew this one for the book. Drew that one for the book. I drew this on live while talking to people. Like I was on live on TikTok drawing it, and I asked them what I should draw, and they said a furnace, and so I did. Anyway, that's only page 35. There's a lot more. Okay, bye. Part 2 of telling you all the things. So I drew this one on a live with everyone, and it was actually the first one I drew on a live. I went live. I used to go live and draw a bunch, and this was like, it's for self-love, and I drew it for the book. Excuse me, Olive. I drew this one for the book. I drew this one for the book, Story of Us. I drew this one for the book, and then I, of course, like warped it and stuff with the colors and things on the computer. I was trying to get that whole, like, you know, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like stuck inside the television kind of feel. I drew this for the book. I drew this one on a live for the book. This was on a live also. It was supposed to be a vault. It didn't end up looking like a vault, but here's the hinges, and this is supposed to be that like thing. It's only supposed to be like 5 prongs, you know, where they like turn the wheel. I just kept going. Those are supposed to be all the locks. And I just kept going. I did this one back when I worked in the pension office. It was a Post-it that hung up on the wall, and they didn't guess the letter E, and it was too late. Get it? Help. Too late. Yep. Okay. Drew this one for the book, and then did this in the like art app. Drew this one for the book. Drew this one for the book. Drew this one for the book. I was a little bit inspired by Painting with a Twist and kind of stuff. They always have moon and reflection in the water things. I drew this when my partner's kids were in town, and it was like the whole picture's actually brown, and I changed it, of course, with the computer app and stuff, but they drew pictures as well with me. We colored together. Drew that one for the book. Drew this one for the book. Drew this one for the book. This was in a journal back in like 2000 or something, and it was the title of it was like All Is Perfect on This Island Earth, which is This Island Earth is a Misfits song, and it was supposed to be like nice and perfect and pretty, but it was like actually not. Drew this one for the book. That was one I just had around, and I colored it for the book. Drew this one for the book. Drew that one for the book. Drew that one for the book. Exploding head. This was from 2000. It was just, that's it. It just was this on white paper. Because I was, even though I was a virgin, they called me that all the time. This was for the book, but this is like back in the day. I used to draw hands all the time. I don't know if you guys drew hands, but like trace your own hand and do nails. I used to do that a lot when I was younger. I actually did this one for the book. It's like grape clusters and vines. This is another one of those like directional things. And like going down the mountain and stuff. This was in 1996 is when I drew that. I like that you have the binder part of it too. This one I already had, no, I might have drawn this one, but it hurts to look at this one because of all the bruise looking stuff, but it's Guilt and Shame, so it's supposed to, but the colors of this one hurts me. This one was in 2002. And this was nail polish. Actually drew that for the book. Drew that one for the book. Drew that one for the book. This is one of my favorite pages. I love the color tones on this. Drew this one for the book. Drew this one for the book. So, saw a long time ago that airplane is like earth plane, but in the air, and they actually, like, airplanes go through portals, and that led me more to Spaces Ocean because there's portals in the ocean that this was like, I think in 2020, maybe 2021, I looked at that with Kate about the portals in the sky for airplanes. So Yeah, but I drew that for the book. Drew this one for the book. Drew that one for the book. Drew this one for the book. Actually drew that one for the book. Drew this one for the book. This is like my portal. I'm part of the Tree of Knowledge, and this portal is like an Alice in Wonderland portal, and that is a portal to self-discovery. In most places, like in most pocket dimensions or realms or realities, we are different parts, like different characters are part of our oversoul. This one, everybody is everyone. All characters are everyone in Alice in Wonderland portal. This one I drew in 2001. That's a hand. That is a rest. That is self-explanatory. Drew this one for the book. I really like this page. It's very whimsical. Drew this one for the book, contracts and a feather quill. Drew this one in 99, and I thought this was like a real dark picture to draw. I really did back then. Drew this one for the book and did the, you know, the art in the computer and stuff for the rest of it. I drew this one on live, the robot thing. I did the background on like the app, but I did this one during a live. I really like the thought of like cross stitching. That kind of stuff's really fun for me. I did not draw these. These are like stickers, but I did draw that. Drew this for the book. The pillars crumbling. I actually drew this. I changed the color tone a bunch, but this is like Sharpies and gel pens. I drew that for the book. Drew that one for the book. This, there was this like weird dating website back in 2000, and I think this is 2001. Yeah, 2001. And I took the test, and it said that I was an independent evil sex taker, a vixen, and so I drew that back then based off of that website. I wish I knew what that website was called, but I don't remember what it is called. This little skull thing in the back on black, I drew that for the book, but I drew it like this big, but just made it a lot bigger. I think I drew this while live too. I did. Drew that for the book. Those are internet browsers, guys. Website. See. I drew this one on live, the Rubik's Cube. I drew this one for the book, and I did the, you know, the art on the computer or whatever. I drew this for the book, and art on the computer. I drew this. I don't remember what color this is, but I changed it with the filters on the app on the computer. Drew this in 1995. It just happened to go with this dimensional healing. I drew this one for the book. It reminds me of like the like late 90s, early 2000s kind of artwork, like very No Doubt, where he takes the bite of the like peach or whatever, and it's rotted with the worm. You know, but it's orange. Maybe it wasn't orange in that video. I don't know. I drew this for the book. I turned it negative. Like I did it in black and turned it negative and then added this texture to it. And I really like it a lot. This is one of my favorite pages. I drew this back in, I believe, 2000. I was really into punk rock stuff. Like this is hairstyles and stuff I was really into. This is like SLC punk. Yeah. But this is the Misfits, like the Devil's Lock. And Liberty Spikes, Mohawk, and all that stuff. Anyway, I just really liked that, and I drew that back then. I drew this for the book. Drew this for the book. That's part 2, up to page 96. Okay, so this is part 3 of all the different drawings in my volume 2 book, and like when did I do them, and that kind of thing. Any backstories if there are any. Starting on page 97, I drew this one for the book, and then, you know, added the water effect on the computer app. This was a Pac-Man style game, but I changed the color and stuff with the app from the computer app. I drew this for the book also. I drew this for the book. And then that's the Schumann chart. I drew that back in 2002. And then I added that with the computer. I drew that in 99. This was one of those medical folders. And I made a copy of the thing, and then I cut it out, and the way they were standing for the medical folders felt very much like the YMCA, and I drew those characters. But this healing, of course, is about like getting rid of that kind of thing. I drew this for the book because the fifth dimension is about emotions. Drew that one for the book. This was my little notebook. This was the front cover of it. Like, this is one of those manila folder things, like binding books. And I drew that back when I worked at the pension office. This is where I would write my hours in, because I had like a really old system to clock in and out of. These are cassette tapes that I hand painted. I used to take apart cassette tapes and hand paint them. And then I would line them with fabric and a zipper, and they would be like a wallet. I drew this one while I was working with a mentorship person. She had a lot of stuff that had to do with escalators and stairs. And so this is also a reference to Mitch Hedberg, like escalator is broken. Escalator cannot be broken. It can only be temporary stairs. So I drew that. That was actually really difficult to draw. This was Painting with a Twist. It was someone was visiting into town in the group, and I all went to Painting with a Twist. And yes, this is like the Wednesday Addams thing. But yeah, that's canvas that's hanging on our wall in the kitchen. I drew this for the book. So basically this is supposed to be like you, and this is supposed to be your like dimensional form. And as you're thinking of doing the things with your hands, your dimensional form actually does it. So your seventh dimensional form that can reach through the dimensions and do the things, that's what this is about. This is a Painting with a Twist. This is on a canvas. This was also somebody who visited us. I know this kind of looks like an owl, but it's just supposed to be hands on the clock, but the way it looks is like an owl. That's okay. And there's a shack and the trees and the moon and the reflection, because that's Painting with a Twist kind of style. I drew this for the book. I really like this page a lot too, with the train. I drew that for the book. Drew this back in 2000. I drew it, and then I hated it. I love it now. I think it's rad, but I hated it. I drew this for the book. This part, and then this part I did on the computer. But like, you do have a version of you on the sun. For real. And we have a podcast where Kate and I take someone in to look at that. So you do. And then the same podcast was this one, the moon. So I drew that one. But you do have a version of you that's on the moon. For real, for real. Drew that. Very 90s alien core. I drew that one for the book. And then added the graphics. I drew that one for the book. Because you can get your government secrets from those who have passed. This is Space is Ocean. This is how I see, like, Earth and other planets. They're like these biodomes that are on a different, like, inside another ocean. And the whole thing is like an ocean. And now in 2024, they came out with and said that there's aliens in the ocean. They've always been there. It's like, yeah, all of us are. I drew that one for the book. I drew that one for the book, but it's based off of an art design I did when I used to tell my kids about Santa Claus. we didn't have a fireplace, so I used to make like I had a magical chimney, and we'd put it out for Christmas Eve, and it was just like a box with white wrapping paper, and I drew this on it, and then like red and white around it, like bricks. I drew that for the book, all the crystals. I drew those for the book. That's my favorite kind of margarita with the tahini rim and the jalapeno and the lime and stuff. Oof, so good. Actually drew that for the book. I drew that for the book. I drew that for the book. I did not draw this for the book. This was something I used to draw all the time. It's supposed to be like an eyeball that's pierced with blood running down. This is just one of the things I drew constantly when I was younger. I did not draw this for the book. This was probably around 2006, 2007 is when I first drew this, but then I've drawn it many times since then. I just like the robotic, geometric shaping of the Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein and the colors of it and stuff. It makes me really happy. I drew that for the book. I drew that one for the book. I like that none of my TVs look exactly the same. Like I drew them all slightly different, and that makes me happy too. I drew that for the book. I have this like portal in the back of my head, and we have a portal squeeze healing, and like entities cross through my portal, and this squeezes it out and like squeezes all the entities and energies that are stuck in there out of there, and it will do it for you too. I drew that for the book, the suds, the bubbles, all of it. This I did in this part I did in the app. I drew this one for the book. Like it's not enough, you know. These are some more of my cassette tapes, but this was like me sketching out the cassette tape pattern of Houndstooth. The first time I drew Houndstooth, and I did not realize that Houndstooth was basically stripe, square, stripe, stripe, square, stripe, square, stripe, square. I didn't know until I drew it, and then I was like, holy shit, Houndstooth is like really easy to draw. It's literally just squares and diagonal stripes. Did you know that? I didn't fucking know that. I didn't know that, and it became really easy. So this was my little bro and little sis cassette tapes, and that was, I used to paint it with like acrylic paint and nail polish, and that was the lining inside, like I was talking about, and the zippers to make the wallets. This I drew in 2002. This, if you look really closely, she's crying, her legs are kind of spread, and it's a little bit, this was 2000, this is when I got raped. So yeah. I drew this one for the book. This is supposed to be like a tarot card and like a tarot cloth. I drew that for the book. And then I added that, you know, on the computer. This was another painting with a twist situation. Went out with Kate and Shaden and Ben for this one, and we were the only ones there, so we played Cupcake, which she's extremely vulgar, and that was a really fun time. I drew that one for the book, and then added the bubbles and stuff on the computer. I like the way that looks. That's one of my favorite pages too. I drew this one for the book. I drew this one for the book. So this was based off of a session, and we went back, and there was like this mold that your human is made out of. Like you can go look at it, and it was all shattered and stuff, and we helped fix it. That was a really cool session. This was a painting with a twist. You can see the Orifim kind of thing there, and this was like a storm, and we channeled it, and we ended up healing it and fixing it. And then this is just upcoming stuff, and that's the book. So thanks for checking it out. Okay, bye.